What is up, you guys? My name is Gallegos. In this video, I'm going to be excited to share with you guys my story, how I went from $0 to $20,000 a month. It's a more like some context. I got interviewed by a 7-figure entrepreneur. Shout out to Dan Bolton. Beautiful, beautiful people. One of his right-hand man, Dylan, shout out to you, gave me an interview in front of about 10 to 15 business owners looking to get to $10,000 to $20,000 a month. And they highlighted me going from $0 to $20,000 a month in a 45-day period. I think I said 58 days around that time. Looking back though, it took me 45 days to actually hit that point because we launched in March, we got there in April. I unleashed the beast in this video. I let everything out. I don't hold anything back. You're gonna get all the gems, you're gonna get all the sauce. I'm excited for you guys to watch this. Stay tuned, listen to it like a podcast, and I appreciate you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy.
This is Ro. Ro's got an amazing transition he's going to share with us over these next hours. So Ro, why don't you start off with just introducing yourself, your offer. Obviously, you shared a little bit there at the start around where you came from. Would love to know kind of your previous few years of history regarding our Wild West industry and kind of what brought you to this moment right now.
Yeah, first I want to say I'm very grateful just to share my win. I'm very grateful and feeling humble and blessed and excited to present myself in front of you guys today. So thank you for being the audience, and thank you. I'm honored to be in front of you guys today. My name is Ro Gallegos, and one of my offers that I scaled to $20,000 a month within 58 days from zero was a sales offer helping beginners get into high ticket sales and closing. I just pivoted off that offer this month, so I'm actually switching more into the coaches helping coaches offer. So that's what I'm going to start going into. But really just a little bit about me. I'm 20 years old. I started my entrepreneurship journey in June of 2022. That's when I bought my first program and really invested my soul into this. The real purpose of why I did this and why I wanted to put myself in entrepreneurship is because of how much I care about my family. I love them to death and they've been struggling. And so I want to make sure that I'm taking care of them and helping them out. So they're my drive, they're my focus. I'm also just a very determined person. You guys are probably getting a little glimpse of my personality already so far. But yeah, I'm located in San Francisco, California. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be in front of you guys today. I'm a skateboarder, I'm a boxer, I'm a musician, and an entrepreneur. So ready to be prompted by you, Mr. Dylan.
Love it, dude. Thanks for sharing. Like it's going to be good to kind of unpack this story because I think a lot of you will take not just the insights on, but also the way to be in the marketplace. I can tell already, dude, that you're just like a light, and which is like an industry filled with like some skewed personalities. So,
Yeah,
if we were
100%.
to kind of, yeah, if we were to break down your 0 to 20K month journey, what's some like main key insights that you've kind of picked up that has been really valuable in making that transition?
Yeah. The first thing that I'll mention, because there's three aspects I want to talk about today, but the
Cool.
first thing I'm going to mention is this. It seems like an overnight success, and we all know it really wasn't. Right? There is years of personal development and installing a belief system and studying entrepreneurship and really making sure I was in the right vehicle before I actually got to this position where I had all the skill sets to start from zero and get to $20,000 a month like that. Right? Out of the three topics, I'll get into that in a moment's worth, but one thing I really want to establish is multiple things. But I would say number one, skill building. That's something that was one of the most important things that I understood because we all know there's three aspects of the business, right? There's delivery, there's generating leads, and then there's making sales. And so with those three aspects of the business, when I first got started in entrepreneurship, I invested in a $2,000 program to build an agency. And I learned how to structure the business model that way, but I wasn't passionate about freaking email marketing. So I didn't want to sell that. Right? And that's what made me transition my offer. I said, I want to be a coach, but who am I going to coach? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to coach beginner entrepreneurs because I can teach them what I just learned. Ironically enough, just off a belief system and the skills that I learned, it took me from the moment I actually switched the offer, 2 days, right? It was a 3-month period of no money. And then 2 days, once I switched to being a coach, I landed my first client. It was a $497 deal, October 11th, 2022. And so that was where I had a shift and a transition of mindset that I could really do this thing and that I really could help people. I had no testimonials, no case studies, no results, just a kid who had a massive belief and the willpower and the passion to want to go out there and actually like do the work. Right. So that's a big important thing before really getting into the three aspects is that passionate belief system and then also the skill building. Right. And so kind of just moving forward toward the journey, just to kind of get a more of a breakdown, I was making money every single day. And the way I was generating leads was all through TikTok. I was posting
Okay.
my story. Yeah, I was posting my story, just everything that I was ever learning on entrepreneurship on TikTok and started developing an audience. I had 1,000 followers, right? A couple hundred views, but those are all views, eyeballs of people, interested buyers. So TikTok was pushing my content to people interested. And from there, all I would do is any person who followed me on or on TikTok, I'd follow them back, shoot them a DM, say thanks for the follow, family, and get in communication with them. That turned into a DM set to a phone call, give them as much value as I can on the phone call, and show them that I was the guy that they should invest into for this new opportunity of I can teach you how to make money online. And lo and behold, the way that I was closing these people was showing them that what the skill sets that I was learning, I was doing it on them to get on the sales call to buy something. So from that point, that's when I started just making money every single day, but I also started getting results and helping people. That was something that I was also really doing because I believed in myself so much. I wanted to make sure every single client was successful. And I think that's important as well, right? That connection that you're building God's business, God's kingdom. And so you really need to make sure that you're establishing that. Because if you're not doing it for that purpose of like actually generating results and impact for your people, for your clients, that audience, then you just lose the purpose, right? You lose the passion. So I always had that from established from the start. And keep in mind, this is 2022 of my first month being successful in business, right? So that's that whole year in between that we'll talk about in a moment before I actually had the 0 to 20K month, which is that was we launched, just for some reference, in March, beginning of March. Launched this new offer, right, from complete scratch, no audience, no nothing. And within, I think in March, we did $14,000 cash collected. And then in between March and April, because in April we did $15,000 cash collected. But in between March and April, I was looking at my Stripe and I was like, oh, nice, I did $20,000. I was like, cool, we made it, right? And so that was something that really made me see how far I've come. Before I kind of move on to the next step, because I told you I'm a rambler, Dylan, you could prompt me for another question, kind of guide me in the direction you need to go to.
No, I love it, man. I think there's so many things I want to probe you on from that place. If we look at it from an overview, you've talked about obviously the person you need to be and become more so. And then obviously like you've gone into some skill set there with the closing and the triage calls and the DM setting.
Yeah.
So I think we'll leave that later one to last. So people have to wait through what's actually most important, which is what me and Jordan talk about every week in the momentum calls of you need to become the person first, right? Like what does a 20K per month person look like? How do they act? What's their characteristics in the marketplace? Obviously, we're all very different in how we show up, but there's some underlying beliefs that are super core, and every great entrepreneur knows this. Can you like give us a bit more context on exactly maybe some of those limiting beliefs you had previous to 20K per month or previous to, changing your offer? What was that sort of transition looking like for you back then?
That's a really good prompt question because, like I said, I have a little unique of a story. And so, like, I'm only 20 years old as of right now. I'm about to turn 21 in June. But when I was 7 years old, I was already in the mindset of watching YouTubers, all my favorite YouTubers growing up. And I already had it belief systems installed into me at that age, seeing why are these YouTubers making millions of dollars already doing what they love to do? So I got installed with that young. And I remember thinking to myself, it's funny because I was 8 years old telling my mom, I was like, Mama, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm gonna be a YouTuber. And that's what I told everybody. Like I was like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber growing up. I'm not gonna be the astronaut. And that was installed in me growing up. And so I always knew that for me personally, I'm not gonna push that projection on anybody else, but for me personally, school was something I knew I could kind of finesse and go out the way for, right? It wasn't the education I really needed for myself. So I always knew that growing up. I always knew I was like an outside of the box person growing up too, like the person that was kind of not really paying attention to what the, what society's telling you to normally do, right? And I found myself around 11, 12 years old, always gravitating toward people making money online because I knew it was already possible at that age. And so one thing I like about that topic is I installed a belief because when I was 9 years old, I got hospitalized for 3 months. I almost died. And my mother had to tell me that because my breathing tube was about this big and it was closing. And this was for a doctor's checkup. Right. And so it was closing. The doctor said that basically I have to keep opening it up slowly. And otherwise, if it doesn't, I would die. And I was 9 years old. So it was a horrifying thing for me. But that was the turning point that made me understand that my family was not financially stable. Because after that moment, guess what happened? We got evicted out of our house right when I got out of the hospital. And so we were forced to commute 2 hours back and forth just to get to school and to work. Otherwise, we'd be homeless if my parents didn't lost their jobs, basically. And so that's what lit the fire in me. That's what made me like, I got to get successful. I have to do this. Right. And so that drive that I'm talking about, that belief system, got installed into when I was studying entrepreneurship at 12 years old. Because all I was looking at was who are the most successful people in the world? What businesses do they run? How do they operate? What are their behaviors in life? Who are they studying from? Who are their mentors? What does their day-to-day operations look like? Right. And that's what I got gravitated toward Dan, right? Because I'm supposed to be the kid who has to start from zero. But I was like, I already had all the data because I already started investing so much time before. Yeah, success leaves clues for sure. Before I started my first business, I would say I was about 5 to 6 years deep of studying Grant Cardone, Eman Gadzi, Andrew Tate, but like for their businesses and their behaviors of how like all of the dude, if y'all know Rudy Maurer, like Jason Capital, but like just yeah, like some industry leaders back in the day that came across my page, right? And any single time someone came who was running a multi-million-dollar company, I would just got obsessed with the systems of it because I knew it was systems required. I don't know what it was. I just already knew. But I think the obsession behind it and the passion I speak with it right now is because of the fire that started within me of the purpose as to why I'm even doing this business in the first place. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, 100%. It's like Tony Robbins always says, business is 80% psychology, 20% strategy. What would you say to someone that is viewing their like goal right now as just a strategy based transition? Like they're thinking, oh, I just need the funnel, I just need the perfect script or offer. All those things are important. But
Yeah.
what would you say is like the top kind of things that you had to overcome and understanding that it is psychology, it is the way you're showing up and the way you're becoming on those sales calls, right? Like this passion you're kind of showing us right now. What would you kind of tell that sort of person that's thinking strategy is the way?
It's funny because this conversation comes up all the time with my clients, and it usually has to do with sales conversations because they think it's like I followed the framework to a T. Why didn't it work? I asked them what their big goals were in life. I don't know why it didn't work. And I always like to pick people apart, right? I'm very analytical. So when I'm conversing with someone, I always like to study what is the energy they're already giving me. And I don't ever pick apart. And this is what I recommend for people for themselves. I will not pick apart the system that you're following. I will pick apart the energy you're giving when you're operating on that system. That's what I'll look at. And so,
Can you say that? Sorry, can you say that again? That was a huge key on people to not sleep on.
yeah. So whenever someone gives me that data of why is my
Mhm.
technical ability not working, right? When someone gives me that data, I don't look at necessarily the system that they're operating on. I look at the energy that they're giving when operating on that system, the frequency, their vibration. That's what I'm looking at, right? I'm looking at their attitude, I'm looking at their approach, and I'm looking at their actions. So, what do I mean by attitude, right? Attitude is you, when you're going through an operation and you're going through some sort of action in life, two types of people in this world. Y'all ever see the data of the person who's like, I'm sitting on the bench. One dude looks like he's homeless, depressed, and sad, and another dude looks like he's suited and booted, suited and tie, ready to roll multimillionaire. And they look at each other and they say, why are you in this position? And one guy says, my dad was an alcoholic. And the other guy says, my dad was an alcoholic too. It's your attitude. Because your attitude in life is your, I'll put it like this, your environment, everything you see, everything you acknowledge is a direct reflection of your attitude. So that's what I'm looking at. How are people, like, what's their attitude? I had to check one of my sales team members today because he was approaching his day with a lot of resistance. And so the first thing I did was I didn't look at what he was doing on the technical ability. I told him to stand up and start rolling his arms. I said, just close your eyes and feel your body. I said, now start tapping your whole body. I said, start jumping and relax. And after he loosened up his body, how do you feel? Dude, I feel a lot better. Isn't that interesting? I looked at him and the first thing I said was, isn't it interesting how you can actually change your own energy and that affects the rest of your day? And so he was like, shoot. He was like, you're right about that. And I have to prompt these people all the time because you guys can tell with me, I've been, my energy, my beingness, I've been like this for a while. I've also spent a lot of time with a lot of high level people. And so I see how they operate. And so I'm able to give this naturally. It's like, I had to learn though to turn this on. Now it's just active, like this energy, this frequency. But I start looking at people, and one thing I learned is like, not everybody has that right away, that passion, that frequency, that energy, but everybody does have it in them. And then the second they understand how to control that and turn it on, like kind of how I turned it on here to be in front of you guys, because I was nervous of being in front of you guys, I'm not gonna lie, right? Once you guys can turn it on, it's like, it's go time. Then you become a player in the game and not just a pretender on the sidelines. That makes sense?
Of course, man. I love that. And this might be a good segue now. You mentioned before everyone jumped on that you were doing closing before you jumped into this. So you've got that sales edge, right? Um,
Yeah.
what would you say are some of like the key closing I don't want to say techniques, but kind of like you mentioned there, you're talking about your guy rolling his arms, for instance, and jumping up and down. What are some of the ways that you would help someone that is not feeling in their highest energy to kind of uh, get a transition into that place before they jump on a sales call, before they jump in the DMs for the day? Maybe it's like a general morning routine.
Yeah. So I like that you said the morning routine part. I would definitely get into that. Um, there is something I operate off of, and it's called peak mental state, right? And I used to have to practice this thing consistently until, now I figured it out to the point where you could turn it on. But it's called peak mental state. And when you operate off peak mental state, people think the first part of the sales process is starting the sales process. Maybe you start the phone call and then you go through the step, your framework, whatever you follow. That's not the first part of the sales process for me. For me, the first part of the sales process is peak mental state. Before you even allow yourself to start answering the phones, if you're not operating off the right energy, your phone call will plummet, it'll fall, right? And everybody, I'm sure, who here has felt that before, where they're just kind of like, I don't want to do this today, right? So peak mental state is super important for me. Here's the thing about when you operate off your own energy. It's funny because you enjoy life so much more when you yourself attract your own energy. You have to find yourself attractive. Like you got to look into yourself like it's not sales data. This is like life data. That's how you operate. That's how you become an elite closer or even just elite person in life. It's not just sales data. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and you got to think to yourself, I am beautiful and I love the way I look and I'm grateful to be here and I'm humble and I'm thankful for God and I can't wait to operate today. Because sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I have eczema. You guys can kind of see it. I have dry skin, and sometimes my skin dries out so much it is difficult to move. Chronic since I was as long as I remember, like to the point where it feels disgusting and icky to get out of bed. Right, flakes when I wake up in my bed in the morning, like just to paint a picture for you guys, right? And sometimes I have to tell that pain and that shutdown and that like, trying to push myself down. I have to tell that part of my brain to like shut up and tell myself that it doesn't matter how my body is. It doesn't matter what my mind is telling me about it. My spirit is perfect. My spirit is perfect. My spirit connects to God. And that gives me the power and the ability to get up, go take that cold shower, despite it literally burning my whole soul because my skin is on fire, and get ready for the day and go take some calls and put a smile on my face and perform, right? So it's not going to be the sales data. It has to come down to really how you view yourself and really who you are, not what you do. And like, there's some ways to get up to that peak mental state. Some practical stuff is there are times in your life, we call it a hygiene standard. When you're at your hygiene standard, this is kind of your average operating level. And sometimes you're above your hygiene standard and you're below it. But what happens is every single time you always raise back to your hygiene standard. Right? So what we do is every single day we try to improve ourselves 1%, right? So your goal is to slowly keep raising your hygiene standard to become better and better each day. Because even if it goes lower, you go right back to your average. So your goal is to keep raising that. But some practical stuff is there are things in your life that get you feeling above your hygiene standard. You're like your highest energetic self. Y'all have, raise your hand here or drop a 1 in the chat if y'all have ever been in a day where you feel like you could crush the absolute heck out of a whole day. And you know for a fact, like this, like anything that comes your way, like done, I'm good. Right? So everyone's experienced that. But then who else has also experienced days where you feel like the absolute worst version of yourself and you just want to break down and cry and like hug your mother because everything sucks? Right? We've all been through that. Hygiene standard. There are things in our life that get us to the highest point of that hygiene standard. And multiple ways, the practical stuff I could give you, number one would be listen to your favorite frequencies, music. That's number one. Listen to your favorite frequencies. There's a song called Experience. I'm not sure who knows it. I will type in the chat or I'll send it to Dylan. He can drop him on or Tommy or something. But Experience, that song gets me riled up. Like I feel like I'm in a movie and I feel empowered, right? Listen to your favorite songs, preferably without the actual voice singing, right? Or rapping. Or if you're going to listen to that, listen to the songs that like you start listening to it, you start like, you know what I mean? Like that's one thing. This is so real, right? You see how much I enjoy myself right now. I'm not cool. Like there's nothing special about me, right? It's all within us. We're all at the same level. And so I that's just one thing that I'm gonna mention is get into your mode, which gets you above your hygiene standard. So listening to music. Another thing too, positive self-affirmations, how you speak to yourself. Some people are going to take this and they could use this as a route, but other people are more introverted, right? So maybe if you're not saying it out loud, you can start saying it in your brain and pretend like you're doing it the same way. But if you start telling yourself positive self-affirmations out loud in the mornings, and actually, one thing I'm forgetting that's real data, I have this journal. This is like when I started this book is all 2022. This is like my whole sales, not even sales, my whole life journey is this book. There's 4 books. This is my first one. And one thing that I'm going to say is if they're not positive self-talk out loud every single morning, you need to have written down in present tense, in who you are and how you view yourself now, positive self-talk. So I'm talking about real stuff in here. but I could go to days and let me see kind of real quick something that can hit someone's soul. I'll open a random page. It says, I'm still pursuing greatness. I know it's a long-term game. I'm growing toward my self-mastery. Short-term losses lead to long-term wins. Keep learning from them. Make everyone that you know millionaires. By the end of 2023, I will reach my first $1 million in business. I'm learning high income skills. I'm leveraging a team. I make $1 million in profit at age 21. I'm saying stuff like that. That's what I'm writing out every day. This is the entire book from beginning to end. I had to go back in pages to finish the whole book. So I'm solidifying myself from the very beginning. And if you haven't started yet, you could start right now. Because imagine where you'll be 1 year from now, right? That's where you start. Like, dude, it's not the sales data. I could, as much as I want to say it's the sales stuff, you ain't gonna close an extra deal because you like put a smile on your face that morning, right? But what's more important is that you're living life, and no matter what happens, because there's bad sales days. Like my guy is having a bad sales day right now, right? But no matter what happens, you learn from it and you realize that this is just another step to being a peak mental state person. You're happy no matter what, right? You're feeling good, or at least you get back to that state of positivity. So there's that. But the practical stuff, just to bring it back, write every single day, positive affirmations, truth to how you want to feel. In Modern Autonomy, is there self-mastery in there where it talks about like new character or character?
Yeah, our main man Jordan right here has done a terrific job. So
Let's go.
there's more than enough of that. Yeah.
Dude, you're speaking my language right now. I'm loving this. I'm loving it.
Okay. So new character and old character, right? That is like one of the most important things that anyone can do, and not just on the practical sense of writing down the answers, but like literally physically and spiritually transforming into that person. And one thing I see about myself and that I want to inspire into people here today is when you are writing about your old character, be extremely vulnerable about who you truly are now. But when you're writing about your new character, you're obviously visualizing the person that you want to become, but you better be writing that person down as if you're already that person now today. You just started. You have officially, think of it like this. You are walking, and this is your shadow of your old self, and you have just detached from it. You leave that baggage behind. And even though I fail every single day, guess what I'm affirming every single day? This version of myself. The multimillionaire, high status, loving, caring version of Gallegos. See what I'm saying? Is this tracking for people?
Yeah, everyone give him some feedback if this is hitting. I'm sure it is. I see some thumbs up. Thanks, Danny.
This is fucking sick. Love this.
Lovely. I'm grateful. I'm very appreciative of you all.
Bro, this is amazing. And this is exactly what I wanted to hit home on for everyone here, was not so much the strategy today, but really the energy, right? Which is obviously within that three-part insight, like the positive affirmations, the journaling, and then the music. It's all energy related because all sound, it's all like talking to yourself, all of this stuff, right? Just being conscious of time, because I do want to open it up for Q&A in a minute. What's some look, I want to stay on the energy part as long as we can, but what are some, all right, strategic examples of, say, follow-ups, maybe some one-liners or key phrases that you've used in engaging this energy whilst like DMing or on the phone? What's some like actual strategies people can implement within their appointment setting, their prospecting, their closing? What's some like the top ones you've come across?
Sure. So let's say you're already approaching everything with this energy. The process, no matter your DM setting, your phone setting, or you are closing a deal, is always the same sales process. And I labeled it down to 5 steps. Okay. This is my 5-step sales process. Is your introduction, and I'll go through it. Fact finding, demonstration, test close, and close. That's my 5-step sales process. Intro, fact finding, demo, test close, and close. And so when you're operating with this framework, this is the same framework. The concepts apply no matter what part of the sales process you're on. I always apply the same thing, right? Your introduction. Obviously, it's going to be different from the DM set to the phone set to the close, because depending on how much they already know you and talking to you, but that's just introducing yourself again. Stating your name, stating your business, stating your intentions, right? We all know this, basic sales, okay? And then when you get into fact finding, this is the most important part of the sales process that will close every single deal for you. Fact finding, in easier terms, is just question-based selling. That is how I sell. You want to focus primarily on listening to the prospect, acknowledging what they say, but always looking for the next question to ask, which is going to give you the data, because this is the goal. Your goal of question-based selling, your goal of fact finding is gather all the senior data, AKA data of the highest importance. So what's senior data? It's not, hey man, what's your favorite ice cream? That's not senior data. Senior data is, what do you do for work right now and how's that been affecting you? That's senior data, right? And so you want to acquire all the senior data as much as possible in the fact finding, right? And once you can gather someone's entire life, because you've asked every question, because we all know that when you ask the right questions, you get all the right answers. So your goal is, once you get all the right answers, you have literally everything you need in terms of how to close them. I'm seeing head nods, so I know we're on the right track here. So that's the biggest thing. Fact finding, I'm going to break that down real quick, because that is one of the most important things. I break it down to 5 or 6 steps. Okay. What is the motivation? Hey, help me understand, my man. What motivated you to hop on this call with me today, right? What's their motivation? Then their current scene, right? Current scene, though, I am breaking down as much as I can about what's going on in their life and their energy and their psychology, right? Here's the thing, though. You want to break down more than what's actually happening on the surface, and you want to go ask 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th level questions. So how do we do that? And what do I mean by that? A surface level question is, what do you do for work right now? I'm an Amazon delivery driver. That's surface level. That's not enough, right? If I move on, I don't really have enough data to close them. I just know he's a driver. A 2nd, 3rd, 4th level question would be, okay, nice. How long have you been doing that for? And how has that been affecting you? Why are you looking for something new? Why are you trying to transition out of that? So you want to not just take surface level question or surface level topics and just move on from it. You want to go deep on every topic. So when I'm talking about current scene and what's happening in their current situation, anytime I ask something and I get a surface level answer, I want to ask more questions about it. I want to hang out there. I don't want to just leave it. I want to hang out. Is that making sense so far? Yeah, no shallow junk. Yep. Get as much as you can, right? And so I'll break it down like that. I know there's a sales training, so I'm not going to go too deep on it. But the same things are going to apply for number 3, your ideal scene. Where do they actually want to go? So you got their point A to their point B. My favorite questions, deep questions to ask people, I'll type it, is, actually, I'll say it. My favorite questions to ask that are 2nd, 3rd level questions, that like they're your go-to questions, okay? If you don't know what to ask next, I guarantee you guys that if you ask these questions, you will have a really good idea of the next direction of the conversation. And it's really boiled down to like 3 to 4 things. And to boil it down to 2 things, it's why and how. And you can add on to those. Hey, dude, what are you doing for work right now? I'm an Amazon delivery driver. Okay, awesome. How has that been making you feel? How has that been affecting you? Okay, that's been affecting me in this way. Okay, interesting. Why do you say that? Why? So I just take how and why and just start extending on that. And you can take a conversation, get all you need. So my favorite things to do is, hey man, if you can get anything you wanted out of life, what would you really want? That's my big goal question, their ideal scene. I want to make $10,000 a month and retire my mama and travel the world. Okay, gotcha. Why is that important for you? Love that question. Why is that important for you? Now you're getting more deeper level answers. I love asking, okay, how would that make you feel if, and then I ask the topic, how would that make you feel if you actually retired your mom and you actually had like 10 grand a month? Dude, it wouldn't, and you see it's starting to get emotion based now. Remember, people buy off emotion, justify with logic. Now you're making it emotion based. All you need to do is ask why and how. So there we go. Y'all review this call if you need more data on that. I'm gonna move forward. But current scene, ideal scene, challenges, of course. Hey man, what's holding you back from already being there? Why do you think that is? And then these are the parts that I usually get to here in the call. We call this getting upfront commitment. And when you get upfront commitment, it means you are asking this person if they are going to invest on this call today, now. Not tomorrow, not like 3 weeks from now, not 2 years from now, like today. So this is a statement. It's if I could, would you? Remember that. If I could, would you? You could use it for practically anything to get what you need. If I could, would you? And so this bar, it goes like this, right? Hey man, so question, if I showed you the right opportunity and this was everything that you needed and it aligned with your values, it was checking off all your boxes, but most importantly, it was affordable for you, would you be open to rock and roll with me today if that were the case? If I could, would you? I'll use that statement because that's a good phrase in a different example, right? Let's say you're on a phone call and the person's like, dude, I'm not interested. Hey man, I know you're not interested, but if I could show you, if I could show you a way to make $5,000 today, would you be open to a quick 5-minute conversation? If I could, would you? Who's going to say no? Especially if you have the belief level, the conviction. So remember that statement, okay? And that's my little fact-finding framework, right? We all know and love it, that little 4-step, but I like to add that if I could, would you get that upfront commitment? If I could show you this, blah, 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 would you be open to investing today? You want a clear yes. If you get any hesitancy, you want to confront it. You don't want to just beat around it. And I see a lot of people do this because their energy, they just don't like it. They don't like want to confront. You don't want to just beat around it. Why? You're going to waste your time. You go to the end of the call knowing energetically that they're going to give you some excuse, some reason. For me, I pick up on energy so quickly that I don't allow myself to waste an extra 1 to 2 hours of my time. I'm going to stop it here, give them what they need here, instead of go through all this fluff and then go through that fluff 3 more times for them to close, right? Who here has know somebody who went through like 40 sales calls with one person? Yeah, come on, right? So keep that in mind. Make sure that if it's not energetically there for you, there's any hesitancy, confront it, right? There's a lot of different ways. I'm not going to really go too deep in examples just for time's sake, but there's that demonstration. I'll be quick here for Dylan. Demonstration is basically showing the product now, your product reveal, right? Show what you have to offer, screen share everything. Honestly, in my opinion, screen share everything. Show, don't just tell. Keep it short and sweet with your voice. So don't be like, this is what you do, and this is what you do, and this is what you get, and this is what you get. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to make it one impactful statement. This program right here, Modern Autonomy, is going to teach you everything you know about how to make $10,000 to $20,000 a month with working 4 hours a day. But like some quick, sharp statement. Drill it too, so it's sharp. You want to get tight with your pitch. Okay, that's my demo. Test close or simple questions, testing them if they're open and ready to, if they're giving you good indicators. So that's questions like, hey, does this make sense? Yes, that makes sense. If they said no, that doesn't make sense, that's not a good indicator. It's questions like, hey, scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling about everything so far? If they say 8 out of 10, then you got something that that you did not show them that is clearly showing them that they're not ready to buy yet. I do not move on or tell you price until I'm 10 out of 10. Like they're 10 out of 10, right? So you gotta, those are test close questions, okay? Once you pass all the rest of the process and everything lines up for itself and you get to the close, that right there in the close, you should be at a level where they know you, like you, trust you, love your unique mechanism, just love your energy, and money's the least of their worries. They might give you an objection on money, but one thing I say that I'm pretty good at is making money literally the least problem. They should never even think about it. It's as simple as breaking down their finances. They should energetically be 10 out of 10. I'm ready to rock and roll. If you could figure out my money, bro, here it is. That's how they should feel. And that's my little 5-step sales process. I know we got short time, so I'm like open for Q&A, or Dylan, you can do what you got
Yeah,
to do, my man.
dude, I just want to give you a round of applause. I'm sure everyone else is going to join me. That's some really valuable stuff that you've highlighted there. And as someone that was closing for many years in appointment setting and have sold B2C setting and closing programs to people, I definitely back every single thing you went through there. Like that is a great way to look at it. Jeremy Minor, Cole Gordon, all these sales trainers, you're one of them, bro. Like that is some serious value. So I know it's early
Thank
days for you with your program, but thank you so much for sharing that. Um, I'm sure we can draft up like a PDF as well between us, like maybe off camera. I think that'd be super valuable to give the community. Um, so we could do that. Maybe we need a part two. I think we need a part two. Anyway, we've got about 6 minutes left till the top of the hour. I want to open up to questions. I'm sure there's a few of you that have been sitting with some, and you can just unmute, fire off a question, or if you're busy, you can throw it in the chat, and Ro will be gracious enough to answer.
I've got a question. I can jump in.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
That was awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. There was got my notion out. It's got so many notes here.
Thank you.
I'd like to just touch on what you said at the end, man, with like your belief systems around money should never be an objection, or like how money isn't a thing, because I've heard different kind of beliefs around that. And for me, I know that I've always invested into things and I haven't had the money, but it's kind of that transfer of conviction and belief system in clients that maybe I can not sit in the pocket with them enough to go all in on that. Maybe sometimes I just like to get to go deeper on that last bit that you've shared, because that's kind of the objection that I face mostly.
Got it. So this one thing I want to touch topics on that I'll tie it all in a bow tie for you is Dan made a training recently, and he made a training talking about how you want to get in an energy and resonate with the feeling that you don't need a client. You want clients and you want to help people and impact them, the world, of course, but you shouldn't be operating off an energy of need, desperation, and because people can feel that. So the main reason for me why objections will pop up is it's either going to pop up on their end or it's going to pop up because of your end. Keep that in mind. What do I mean by that? An objection will pop up because they sense the lack of conviction in the person in front of them sometimes. So they're like, I don't trust you. Maybe the next person I talk to, I'll trust, but I'm not going to tell you that because I'm too scared to tell you that directly. So here's a lie. And that'll usually happen, right? And so with me, right, one thing that's super important is I'll tell people, this is a bar right here. I tell people no more than I tell people yes. That is a bar that I actually say in all of my sales calls. Why? It builds authority. And on top of that, too, it's a truthful statement. If I'm telling people no more than I tell people yes, in terms of joining my program, is because I'm picky and I want the right people with the right energy in my program, not just anybody. And they need to feel that. If they don't feel that conviction from you, then what usually ends up happening is that they're kind of just operating at whatever energy you're giving them. And that turns into however the call turns into, right? Whether they give an objection or they like they like how you operate. But most of the time, people don't realize that. They don't realize that they're coming off a feeling of neediness, right? I'm not saying that you are, I'm saying most people don't. So that's one thing I wanted to point out too. It is still going to come down to an energy thing on how you view yourself and how you carry yourself on a call. So I'll tell people that. I'll tell people no more, and I tell people yes. And you know what's funny? With that frame of mind, I am looking through my whole sales process, the 5 steps, when to tell somebody no. I'm looking to make statements of like, hey, listen, my man, can I be real with you? Yeah, what is it? So what I'm capturing from this energy that you're giving me right now is that you're not serious and you're not this and you're not that. And the people I want in my program are people who are serious and committed to themselves. Would you say that if you had an opportunity like this, are you actually going to be serious and committed or you're not? Because I need to know. And I'm giving that energy. I may not say it like that, but the energy is like, yo, dude, I want to help you out and I could change your life. And money doesn't change my life anymore, but I know that this opportunity can change yours. So you ready to rock, or are you kind of still like hesitant, or like how you feeling, bro? Because I'm feeling strong. And listen, I can move on, but if you feel like you need me, right, I can help you. You just got to be strong with yourself. Does that make sense on how I'm framing that and how the energy I'm
Yeah.
coming from?
100%. Yeah,
So
that was great. Yeah,
that's important. And just to tie that up in the bow tie is I'm looking for ways to tell people no. And obviously, I'm not going to be like, okay, they gave me an objection. So, nah, bro, you're not in my program no more. Right? Let's say they give an objection because people still will. I could be strong frame and people are still going to give something. I'm still 8 out of 10. I'm not ready to roll. Right? First things first, there's objection handling frameworks. I'm not going to go into them today. Go and study those objection handling frameworks on how to get someone to give you the data. Like, why is their objection their objection? So once you understand that, you need to understand how to handle those things. And I'll put it like this, just so you understand it. I handle the money objection last, and I handle the other objections first. And it's usually the fear objection or a partner objection or some. I'll handle those first. I handle money. This is what I'll do. Scale of 1 to 10. How you feeling? I'm 8 out of 10. Okay, gotcha. What's holding you back from being a 10 out of 10? I'm scared. Okay, gotcha. Aside from being scared, anything else holding you back? I'm scared because of the money. Okay, money aside, fear aside, anything else holding you back? No, just those two things. Okay, so if I handle those two things, you're good? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, cool. I'm gonna handle the fear thing first, and I'm gonna solve that problem. And then once that's solved, hey, you 10 out of 10? Yeah, dude. I'm 9 out of 10. Why is that? Money. I'm scared of money. Okay, gotcha. If I made the money easy, because money's the easy part, man. That's the least of my worries. That's my favorite bar. Money's the easy part. That's the least of my worries. If I made the money work for you, would you be 10 out of 10 today? Yeah, dude, I'll be 10 out of 10. Easy, man. Okay, this is a stack. And then I'll just go move forward. That's how I get that. Did y'all pick something up from that? Okay, beautiful. So that right there that's the gold mine answer to your question. Was that helpful?
Yeah, man, really is helpful. I think it's one that if like on the other side, you can help them figure out the money. It's like, right, I know I have the money, but I'm still shit scared of making the decision to lose that money. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Sweet,
when
man.
somebody,
Thank you so much. Yeah, this was so good.
of course, when somebody wants something so bad, they're gonna find the money or they're gonna create it out of thin air. And my favorite thing to send people who are serious is PayPal credit. It's instant approval. They only need to afford 30, $60. If I pitch that thing, I'm not gonna pitch it today. I'll send y'all like a training or I'll put it in the PDF that we'll put together, like my whole PayPal credit. I'm telling you, when people want something, they'll find the money. It's not, that's like why it's the easy part. And usually, if they're 10 out of 10 and they trust you, then you put them in the calendar and you keep following up and keep following up and keep giving them value until that day that they're getting paid. And that's usually what you want to find too. When's the day you get paid? Or what's your income? So yeah, we'll get into all that in a moment's worth. I did see another question. Can you please share your current offer? So I'm like in a weird little mix pivot, right? Because I'll put it like this: when I approached Dan the first time, and Dylan, this will be a cool story for you. Same thing for you, Jordan. When I approached Dan the first time, I had my one-on-one call with him, and I was like, "Yo, Dan, I'm in a weird spot." I'm like, for those of you who don't know me, there's a part in my story that I didn't say that I was running a $75,000 a month company with a business partner. It's in my VSL. The whole story's in my VSL. I was running a $75,000 a month company with a business partner. I took it from $40,000 to $75,000 a month in 2 months. When I joined him, everything was messy and I kind of structured it. And once I did that, I told him, just pay my rent, pay my food, just let me prove myself. He's the one who had a $40,000 a month company. Those 2 months go by, he cut my 2,000. I was making a $75,000 a month company running me. I was running the whole thing on $2,000 a month. That's how much I was getting paid. And then he cut it down in 2 weeks to $1,000 a month. And then the next week he said no percentage share. I was like, dude, I was like, what's happening? So I was like, it's time to pivot. I was like, I can't, I'm in the fourth most expensive city in the world, San Diego. Dude, I can't live like this. And if you're not going to help me, I'm out. Right. And so I was running that offer with him. Funny enough, his students loved me so much. And I was just like, guys, I'm out. Bye. And they're like, where are you going? I was like, I'm starting my own company. And then they said, can I come with you? It's like, sure. They still run the masterminds with you guys. So I was just doing my Tuesday and Thursday masterminds. I was working with them for free for a long time. But those students ended up just like loving the process, and they're all sales students. So I got to start my new company. This is where everything wraps around, with a sales team of beginners. That's why I had people who knew, like, trusted me, just wanted to rock with me no matter what. So why I say this is because I launched an offer and I was like, Dan, I have 12 people who I don't know what to do with. And I want to be a coach, like, because y'all know my beginnings. I want to be a coach who helps other coaches scale to $10,000 a month. I said, I have my case studies. I already got through the process. I know my frameworks. Like, that's what I want to do. Dan tells me to fire my whole team, as per usual. He said, fire your whole team. And I said, there's 2 offers that I have going on right now. He said, dude, you need 1 offer and you need to fire your whole team. And then my 2 offers was high ticket sales training for the beginners, because I was like, you guys ain't going to train yourselves. So I just might as well film this in the back end. And I made the training. And it's funny because I made the training and I was like, you know what? So you guys can practice selling, just practice selling that while I build the other offer. Like the offer I actually want to sell, my passionate offer. You see what I'm saying? So they started selling that in the back end. That was making me a little bit of cash flow while I was working for my other offer, talking to Dan. He's like, dude, fire those guys. I'm like, Dan, I can't. Those are my income people. He's like, dude, just start from zero. You got this. I'm like, okay, cool. I tell my team my situation with Dan, and I had to do something. I had to put one of those things on pause. And I ended up putting the coaching offer on pause that helps coaches scale, and kind of going in with the high ticket sales stuff. And it was just because with our experience, and Dylan, I'm sure you know this, when you are a salesperson, you know how to sell a sales training, right? So that's easy money. It's like, and it's something that helps people. So that was my first offer, and it's still up, but that was like the offer that got us established to $20,000 a month from zero, right? We started in March, and I fired like maybe half the team, a little more than half. I had like 4 people, 5 people left. We started in March, and then I was working maybe 2-3 hours a day with those people. And we scaled that offer. And then I started losing passion for it. And I was always going to, like, I always like really wanted to get rid of it so bad. We launched that offer. When we first launched it, I just wanted to test the marketplace, see what we could do. So we launched it. It was the first week, it was closing for $1,000. And then I started bumping it up slowly. It was like a $1,200 deal. And then it's bumped up to a $3,000 offer. And then things started messing up, kind of like slowing down and losing traction when I bumped it from a $3,000 offer to a $4,000 offer. Like once I hit 4,000, people were starting to like crack. It wasn't selling as easy. And so 3,000 was the sweet spot for me. And what we were doing was we were doing payment plans for $3,000, 6 months, like $500 a month. And it was $2,000 pay in full. And for some reason, people are easy to give $2K pay in fulls, but like anything a little more, like in that marketplace, from the data that I was getting from my salespeople, they were struggling to pitch that. I don't know if it was their own energy or whatever was going on, but they were struggling to pitch that in our marketplace. And so that was our little sweet spot. But going into this month, we made a transition. May slowed down, and that's because I lost my passion for what I was doing. I don't want to help people get placed as sales reps. I'll be real, like that's not my forte. I don't feel comfortable doing that, but I do feel comfortable helping people scale their own businesses because it's all on them, right? And I can see the same mindset for the sales offer too. It's all on you to get your own sales offer, which is kind of how I'm seeing it now. But my game plan is this. I already built the structure of the new program for the coaching offer. And my funnel now is designed for that coaching offer to help people scale to $10,000 to $20,000 a month. I'm gonna talk to Dan more about like structuring, like how my messaging should really be. But that's gonna be the thing. And then I'm gonna do the IG funnel. Jordan, I know you just are starting to launch that, but I'm gonna start creating my ads and then start running that plan. Because I want those inbound leads, and I want a lean team, small team, just a setter. And then what I'm doing, because I don't want to leave my people behind, I'm gonna give them the sales sovereign offer, the sales offer. I'm gonna give it to them, but I'm gonna keep them in the loop and show them how to build that. Because I know I have the time to do both. I feel like Elon Musk, you know, building Tesla and freaking SpaceX at the same time. That's how I feel, but I'm doing it. Cool. I'm here to wrap up. I'm sure we don't have that much time left, but I appreciate your guys' questions. Thank you guys for your time as well.
Yeah, cool guys. We've probably got maybe one more question in us. I do have to get going in a moment. I've actually got my own sales call coming up. So there we go. Perfect transition. So maybe one more question from someone else, and then we might have to bring Roy back on for a part 2.
Blessings.
So who's got a question they want to end us with?
I've got one.
Sure.
So, hi,
Go for
Ro.
it.
Thank you so much for this. This has been awesome. So helpful. Appreciate you. I hear, you know, as you talked about wanting to provide like for your extended family, and even what you talked about with some of the medical stuff, such a thread line of grit and tenacity. And I know, I mean, you can hear it in you as you're talking about it. At the same time, so much of what I've been learning, you know, through modern autonomy is just looking for that sense of ease as well. And Dan talking about, you know, creating demand, leaving it on the table, so many things that also involve restraint. And so I was just curious how you balance that, like that being such a part of you to go get it and hustle and leave nothing on the table, yet still finding a way to operate with ease without scarcity, all that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So one thing that I think is really important to understand is masculine and feminine energy and how it works. That's something that's very important to understand. Not necessarily male and female, but masculine and feminine. Y'all could tell I have a little feminine energy in me, right? I like to show it. I like to add a little sass. But I'm predominantly a masculine energy, which means that me operating off stress is like the greatest feeling in life. I need it. If I don't have stress and I have an easygoing, comfortable life, then it's weird because Dan is the no stress thing, but me having stress makes me feel like I have no stress. So like me having all of this on me, this weight on my shoulders that I've been going through for the last few years, makes me feel like I'm right at home. Like this is exactly where I should be. That's why I want to be a boxer. Like I want to be a professional fighter, right? And I have that portion of my life that I've yet to fill in that gap for. And it's just because that's what I operate off of. So you got to understand your own energy, right? Because the feminine energy too likes to operate not necessarily off that predominant like stressful need, but it's more of going with the flow and going with the wave and just kind of letting life take you, right? So you got to understand what your predominant energy and how to manifest your business to work with that energy. So that's number one that I would mention, right? And it really just is going to come down to how well you know yourself. Because I know myself well. What I don't like, I'm a creative. So I like free time in my business. That is why I didn't fire my whole sales team and leave everybody in the desk, because for me, with the data that I operate off of and the belief I have and the leadership, I could work less hours with them than what I would be working if I was working by myself, right? And I would be having to do more. I'd be having to take all the sales calls. I'd be having to set all the appointments. I'd be having to do so much more work in the front end that I don't want to do because I'm past that level now. So I wanted to sustain it with replacing myself. And that's been working for me. And so I was able to work 2 to 3 hours a day and still grab up to $20,000 a month at 70% profit, right? And so that's kind of one thing that I really would say is just understanding who you are and then understanding your predominant energy and how that flows through your business, right? Because then the fun thing I love about what Dan has is he gives you the model matrix. It's like structure your model how you want to structure it. If you want sales calls or DM closes, you're going to have to figure out how to set up a system for that. Or if you want a coaching call, one-on-ones or group coaching, you're going to have to structure your system for that. But you are building the perfect business for you. And so I don't really have the answers in me because you know yourself way better than I know you. So I would just sit down with a journal.
Yeah, it's helpful hearing you process it, because I think it's like when we talk about ease and having that sense of being able to not tackle or run after every possible sale, even that was interesting how that conflicts sometimes with the desire for intensity and even like creating stress. So it's interesting hearing you process through it. That's helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you guys.
Just realized I was muted. Amazing, man. Hey, once again, bro, thank you so much for your time. Amazing value, not just with the tactics and the strategies towards the end, but even more so the energy you were just carrying down. I think everyone, at least myself, is feeling like a breath of fresh air has just hit me. Um, I'll try convince Dan to like book you in for another one if you're keen to do it. Like Calvin said, you're probably going to be at 40K a month in a month or two anyway, so it probably makes sense to have you come back. Guys, if you want to give Ro round of a hand, and then dude, please like come into Modern Autonomy and just drop some value anytime you want. I'm sure we'd love to have you inside more often.
Of course, of course. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I guess we'll speak to Dan too about that since I'm in community. So we'll see what we can do.
Cool, man. Appreciate you. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next call. Will be Momentum call next week with Jordan and myself. Catch you then.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time.